here is a connection. Here's an integration that the left hasn't made yet. And if they do, this whole Russian collusion narrative completely collapses. And that is that Israel has a lobby that influences Congress. I mean, they have a very extensive lobby. It's called AIPAC, and it influences our Congress, our Senate. I mean, the House and the Senate, that's the Congress. And it has tremendous influence on U.S. policy, right? So people are saying things like Trump is a Russian agent, that he is, Krasnar, whatever that's the supposed code name that some unnamed source put out. And, there's all this idea, that peace is pro-Russia, and that, and again, I'm not saying Russia's got problems also, but there's a lot of talk of Tulsi Gabbard being a Russian agent, RFK Jr. being a Russian agent, all this, and it's absolutely ridiculous. But if you ask these same people, what about the Israeli influence on our U.S. government? There's no answer. And there's a very popular, supposed geopolitical analyst. His name's Peter Zion. I don't know if I should name him, but I'll go ahead and name him. And he's been ranting about how the Trump administration, this is it's a Russian controlled, a Putin controlled operation or whatever. And he's saying this and he's actually defending the Federal Reserve, the central bank. He's defending forced medical procedures by the government, which I'm not going to get into detail. I'm not going to advise on that at all, but nonetheless, the government should not be forcing that onto people. And he's taking that position. He's taking the anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-individualistic position because he thinks that the Trump administration has been co-opted by the Russians. But if you ask him, hey, what about the Israeli influence in our government? I guarantee you he will say nothing at all. And this is a very common thing with the left, especially the establishment left. Now, the grassroots left will probably be receptive to that because they don't like what's going on right now in the Gaza Strip. That's another kettle of fish. I'm not going to get into that. But the establishment, the left, and really the establishment, the neocons, and et cetera, you point that out to them. Say, what about the Israeli influence in our U.S. government? And it's like checkmate right there. They can't answer that. Or they'll whitewash it and say, oh, it's not as much as people think it is, or something stupid like that. But anyway, if you ever get somebody and that is like that, complaining about, oh, Trump's a Russian agent, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I understand it's not a proper argument. You can ask, okay, well, what evidence is this based on? A lot of times that'll draw a blank right there. But if they start spouting off, information that's not credible, like our former intelligent heads that were obviously globalists, or you can ask them, what about Israeli influence? And that usually shuts it down right there.